on earth. These are all us here in Nigeria that we don't even appreciate ourselves. If we channel these energies, the future can be very, 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 very bright.
There's still prospects, very good prospects for Nigeria. Apart from, well, our biggest asset is human resource. If we come to that realization, the first thing is the political arrangement in Nigeria. That's what people are talking now, because to motivate people to start working properly, diligently, patriotically, there is, when we were in primary school, there was a saying we were using, so there's no place like home. It's a native statement. And so whatever you're doing, you want to wish your home the best, because that's where you end up. Nigeria can still rise, but we've got to restructure to make people have sense of belonging.
Why should we import things from very far where it is, you can get the same next door? The cost of production, these are infrastructural issues that we have to deal with. And to deal with infrastructural issues, you need economies of scales. You see, for if you have a power plant that can produce 400 megawatts, it will be cheaper than if you have a plant that produces 20 megawatts. So I believe with these regional initiatives, we're going to get there. It takes time, but we have to get there. And there is no other way, in my view. It is really strange to see Chinese coming from, I don't know, 3,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers away, and selling things, and you say it is cheaper if it comes from that far. It doesn't make sense to me.
My name is William Ifeanyi. I'm a writer and a poet and soon to be play actor. Is that a word? My father said, "Son, I hope I live to see you great." I said, "Well, if you haven't seen it yet, then I guess you are late." He smiled and looked me in the face. Umazi these days. Now you might feel young and infinite, talent limitless, like God with the word in Genesis. But I do remember you crying over undefeated nemesis. And what was that nonsense you used to play? Mortal Kombat on Sega Genesis. I think what brought the spotlight was a poetry / photography exhibition I had, I think 2 years ago. And it was called Uncensored, and it was basically about taboo subjects, basically. So it was a poem, it was a series of poems about subjects that people don't like to talk about. Truth I needed, like a bitter pill to swallow, planted in my roots, so I grew up far from shallow. Because in a city where heads are sleepy, it's easy to grow up hollow. A lot of people don't know this, but the word rap actually, R-A-P, actually means rhythm and poetry. So I consider myself a very contemporary poet. I asked, "But Daddy,
This is Business Edge on News Central. I'm Tolulokwe Adelaru Balogun. Our headline story. Other cryptocurrencies, 4 of them, gained over 400% in a month, outperforming Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin took a beating a week ago, falling from $40,000 to $30,305 in a matter of hours, mainly due to heavy selling in the spot market. The cryptocurrency spent the rest of the week trimming losses and tested $40,000 again at one point before ending the week, that is on Sunday, just under $36,000. We'll also touch base with a few stories we're keeping our eyes on with NC4 to watch before we finish the show. Welcome. This is Business Edge. Now, 4 crypto assets have had their value surge by more than 400%, while significantly outmatching the flagship crypto asset, Bitcoin, amidst a relatively bullish trend in May. These are Ramp DeFi, Telcoin, Parsec, and DeFi Chain. Now, the data was shared by Crypto Defer, a crypto information company. On pole position is Ramp DeFi, which had rallied by more than 465% by January 15th. Coupled with its outperforming Bitcoin by 5 times. The crypto asset traded around $0.04, about 04 cents, on December 16th before exploding to an all-time high of 28 cents on January 13th, according to CoinMarketCap. A not-so-distant second crypto asset is Telcoin, with printing monthly gains of about 418% and also outperforming Bitcoin by 4.3 times. Telcoin continues to surge as it is presently trading around 0.001 cents from a 0.00016 cents on December 16th. The third crypto asset eclipsing Bitcoin in monthly returns is the blockchain transaction tracking protocol known as Parsec. Now, PRQ had gained 414% in 30 days and exceeded Bitcoin's performance by 4.2%, or rather 4.2 times. Now, recent data shows that it's on an impressive bullish run, printing a new all-time high of $1.78 on January 16th from 18 cents on December the 16th. And finally, the fourth digital currency is known as DeFi Chain, with printing gains of 401% surge. Now, DeFi services have also outmatched Bitcoin by 4.1 times within a month. DeFi, or DFI, is presently trading at $2.64 after surging from 53 cents on December the 16th. To make sense of all of this, joining me is computer analyst and specialist in the oil and gas sector, as well as the founder and CEO of TradeFada, Seun Dania. Seun, welcome to the show once again.
Good morning.
And it's good to have you back. We know a number of questions came about from our last conversation. Let's start here. So Bitcoin is basically like the bride in the cryptocurrency world. And we had this massive conversation as to how much it had gained in recent times. And now all of a sudden, a week later, we're hearing that there are 4 other cryptocurrencies that are overtaking, even though their value is not the same. So explain that.
Over time, there's always been different cryptocurrencies that rally. Sometimes maybe there's what you call an ICO, initial coin offering, and there are also initial exchange offerings. These are the times when people, create new currencies or create new protocols and, sell it to the open markets. And you notice that during this period, different coins have come up and have actually done better when we did it. So I'm sure this statistics is based on maybe 1 month gains, and there are a lot of them. There are not just 4. If you actually look at it, there are so many, probably over 10 coins or 20 that have actually done better than Bitcoin in terms of month to date, like in the 30-day period. But I think what are the most fundamental things for these currencies are like more like return investment generally. Okay. Because the acceptability of Bitcoin is global. These other coins come up and go down. I know for a fact that I was still looking at Telcoin, and the return on investment is actually dropping. It's like maybe just 20-something%. Okay. So in as much as some people might have been able to catch on that bull run and maybe get in when it's going up 100% or 200%, some of them might have gotten their fingers burnt right now, because it would actually go down, and then nobody knows
when it might come back up
and what's driving it.
So exactly, that's the next question. What is driving it? Do we have an idea of what's driving this surge? As you said, it's not just 4, there are more, but what's driving their surge over Bitcoin, which seems to be the one everybody's chasing? Why would they be surging, even if it's a limited time period? Why would they be surging now?
So in 2020, there was a new technology that actually came to light, which is the DeFi, the decentralized finance, which is like having in basic terms, decentralized finance that is handled by everybody. Okay. So there are also normal spot exchanges, and you also have the decentralized exchanges. So this way, people do not want to keep their money. The way people do not trust the banks, they don't want to trust the exchanges, because some exchanges actually get hacked. So this way, you hold your currency. These decentralized platforms allow you to put in your money and trade directly with the person. So it's peer to peer. So you trade directly, as opposed to putting your money in an exchange and then withdrawing your money from the exchange after trading. So that is about acceptance for decentralized finance. In the DeFi space, you also have what they call staking, where people can invest their cryptocurrencies, and after a period of time they earn interest on it, and those interests are significantly a lot. So last year there was different ones: Shitcoin, Polkadot. There's also Wi-Fi, which probably shot up to over 30 or 40 something thousand US dollars.
Wow.
Because most people, when they create those currencies, they drive them on the rules of economics, limited supply,
and then pushing up demand.
Pushing up.
Okay, so even though you've said you're not sure how long this will last, some people may have gotten their fingers burnt with some of the surges. Looking at the normal history of how things surge and rally, how they go and up, everything that goes up must eventually come down, and everything down has an opportunity to go up. Maybe. What would you think in terms of how long this momentum might last? Because this is the beginning of the year. We ended the year on historical highs. We start 2020 on historical highs as well. So there is a lot of space, 300 and something days still left to see how this develops. So think the trajectory, the sustain of this momentum could be, particularly for these non-Bitcoin, other than Bitcoin cryptocurrencies?
So the major guys out there, Bitcoin and Ethereum, then other ones come up. A lot of people, when Bitcoin starts going up, starts appreciating, starts getting, breaking all-time highs, people start getting scared. So usually, historically, after a Bitcoin bull run, they call it alt season, so that's alternate coins. So people start to take out their money from Bitcoin, they cash out and invest in because everybody's looking, oh wow, Bitcoin is now at 40K, so how am I going to get in? So they just feel, well, let me go for this one that's 10 cents. Yeah, I'll go for 5 cents that I know I can make a return on investment. So that's what usually happens. So when that price drops, people put in their money into the alternate coins. Right now, I think Ethereum is also doing well, currently trading over 1,300 from, let's say, about $600 in December or 900.
So just even less than a month, that increase has come in. Yeah,
so those will always last because a lot of people use them. For the other currencies, Jeff can shut down a lot of these cryptocurrencies because of their nature. Most of them are decentralized, but they are actually not decentralized in the way they operate. So Jeff is Amazon. So most people are hosting on Amazon Web Services. So if Amazon Web Services has an issue, it affects a lot of them. But Bitcoin, the nature, and Ethereum is decentralized. Different people from all over the world are mining. Some people are mining on their computers, on their phones.
So they're not dependent on
any. So if one miner goes down, if the miner has his services in AWS, if it goes down, well, the network still continues.
So now, unlike other currencies that we know, crypto is created, as you said, it's distributed, it's traded, it's mined, stored as well, and what we see is that it's stored, and all of this is happening using a decentralized digital ledger called blockchain. So let's talk about blockchain a bit. Is it possible for any crypto to be sort of manipulated inside this blockchain?
In the proper definition of blockchain, no. The blockchain cannot.
In the proper definition, so there's an alternative.
There's an alternative. Yeah. So it cannot be manipulated because the blockchain is immutable. In general terms, it's a database that cannot be edited. You can only add, and when you add another block, the digital fingerprints, and it's all encrypted, which ensures that somebody cannot come in and make any change. So even if you were to make any change, there are like 1 million other people who are confirming that digital fingerprint and who have signed and confirmed it that this is legitimate. So even if a person or a group of people to manipulate it, it will not be possible. They'll just get kicked out of the network. But then there are other risks, like there's a 51% attack that has affected some other cryptocurrencies, even some of the big ones, but not Bitcoin. And the 51% attack is if one or a group of people are able to hold 51% of the mining power. That way they may be able to control the of confirmation.
Sort of like majority shareholding.
Majority shareholding, yes. Then if they are able to confirm transactions, they can shut out other people from it. But the risks, the blockchain itself is actually it's foolproof. A lot of businesses, a lot of companies, analysts have actually looked it through and seen that it's even applicable in different other sectors apart from the currency.
So let's talk about that, because you hear a lot about blockchain coming into the continents, governments also getting involved in blockchain. What other uses are there for blockchain? What other sectors can start looking at the intricacies and the setting up and the regulation and how it runs of blockchain to sort of replicate it in different ways?
So blockchain promotes transparency because it's available, it's supposed to be available. The decentralized blockchain is available globally. Everybody can see. Anybody who has access to a computer, who has access to the internet, can actually view all the transactions on the blockchain. So it's in the application, it should help in sectors like I know the Nigerian Customs Service actually tested it out in the shipping area. They can be applied in the agricultural sector, can be applied in some countries. They've tried to test it in the electoral process. And you can also do it in supply chain, logistics, basically anything that people need to see and track. Even in the banking sector, you can actually use blockchain, because now if I transfer money to you, the only thing I know is I've transferred, I share you of but you don't know what the process, where you don't know the progress. You don't know if this has gotten through to the ABS, you don't know if it has passed to the bank, to call me and say, oh, well, I haven't gotten this money. You say, go to the bank. Blockchain does all of that because you have access, you can see where your money is, or where
you can see when it's leaving the phone, going to another place, going into the account, landing. So you see that whole process.
Yeah. So you can't argue. We can't argue with each other. I can't say I've sent it when I haven't. You can't say you haven't received it when you have, because everybody is transparent for everybody. So in different sectors, people use it. Supply chain. From able to, I know in the agricultural sector and supply chain sector, even up to the supermarket, they will want to start tagging each product and then putting them on the blockchain, which makes them act. So if, for instance, maybe a chicken, the farm, the tag, when it's tagged and put, so it is the where it was killed, where it was frozen, where it was processed, when it got to the final supermarket or to the end user. So if for any reason one of that particular flu or something, or some kind of disease, they're able to trace all the ones available on the shelf without having to call. It will probably take maybe a few minutes. So the possibilities maybe not endless, but they are very much interesting and can bring a lot of as people want transparent. On that note, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, the issue of regulation comes back, and you heard me right here. Blockchain. Bitcoin, I beg your pardon, almost hit $40,000. We'll talk about that and why JP Morgan has a warning on that as well. We'll be right back.
There is some basic infrastructure they expect to be in place, both in terms of physical infrastructure, good network of roads, transportation services, security, a judicial system that works. They are also looking for market infrastructure. So even the foreign direct investors are not investing. They are goal in mind. So we have realized investment objectives and want to exit your market. What is the process by which we will exit? And that's where a vibrant capital market comes up. So it's not enough to say, for governments to say we only want foreign direct investments and therefore we can ignore the capital market. It doesn't work like that, because it's the capital market that provides the exit for these investors ultimately. So those are some of the issues that come up to consider, attractiveness of a
This is still Business Edge. We're talking, of course, about Bitcoin, but not particularly Bitcoin. 4 other cryptocurrencies and more rallied in a specific period over Bitcoin in recent times. Into the issue of regulation, which is a big part of the conversation. So lacking on most cryptocurrencies, and those that are regulated a bit prone to legal challenges like the one that XRP is currently going through, and that tends to lead to a drop in their values. So Seun, tell us.
Actually, so you have more. I mean, those investors, and those, of course, are in Nigeria. Good, you have to most correct the people to buy either is a okay, if it's a security more from time, it must probably like you are of course, so the issue is that we know who very important because a lot of players gone who like 17 I could and hold responsible. They just make money from the general public. So if we bring it back to Nigeria, we also saw in Nigeria too, there was a time, or there is a time when right now the fintech sector, you know, there's these people, a lot of people doing crowdfunding, but there's nobody watching them, regulating them. So they take money from the general public and they could go poof, or they don't pay back. There's no, or
it becomes a pyramid, and those who come in at the end,
will have to start looking for people. So regulation is important, you know, so that people are safe, people feel safe about it. Even though yes, everybody says, oh, watch what you do, watch how you invest, you should have this, but the government is the government. People need the government to protect them. Their interests.
Okay, and it's good you mentioned this because this goes towards my next question, which of course, as you said, a lot of people have invested in some cryptos and they say that they've been swindled. Is there a way to determine what a legitimate cryptocurrency exchange is, or a digital currency exchange? How do you know which ones are legitimate, especially given the fact that people can, as you said, create the website, write the white paper, start creating this cryptocurrency, start mining it themselves. So then how do I, who want to invest in cryptocurrencies, how do I determine who's legitimate, who has the potential to be here for a long time? Yeah.
So like I said, blockchain, cryptocurrencies were designed to be decentralized, no government regulation or anything. But then of course, in actual application, we need government regulation. So how do you know if a cryptocurrency exchange or any cryptocurrency is legitimate? It has to be regulated by the government.
So once it's a non-government regulated crypto, you should stay away from it?
No, not that you stay away from it, but as the way the government system, the way nations are built, you know, there will be chaos if there's no order, right? And the government establishes that order. So for you to know, like a cryptocurrency exchange that wants to run, you're going to part with your money, and if you understand the fundamentals of decentralization and you buy into it 100%, then no problem. If you read the white paper, you're happy with it, invest in it. But then, of course, there are still gateways. You still have to go through an exchange. Now, that gateway, your hard-earned naira, you're still going to pass it on to somebody who's going to exchange it for the cryptocurrency. So those ones have to, first, of course, definitely be registered. So you know that this is a registered company with the CAC in Nigeria, as it were, who has registered addresses. They have, you know, direct. So if anything were to happen, at least you can make inquiry, find out, okay, who are the promoters of this, who are the owners of this particular company, and then you can establish, you can sue, you can, you know, apply all the laws that everything, all the government,
everything except something like the NDIC, I would say. There's no insurance.
Yeah, there's no insurance. Yeah, so it's still the way it is. So SEC is currently working on regulation. They've actually released for cryptocurrency exchanges and basically everything crypto. And I think the NITSDA, the National Information Technology Development Agency, they're also working with SEC. CBN isn't touching cryptocurrency anytime soon because they have bigger
that might
fish
be a
to
good
fry.
thing. Sometimes that might be a good thing. All right, before we wrap up, Seun, let me talk about what JP Morgan said, but let me lay the groundwork. So the Bitcoin price has added whopping near 300% since October, soaring as institutional investors warm to the cryptocurrency, and payment giants such as PayPal add their support. Now, many institutional investors looking for exposure to Bitcoin have piled in something like the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust over the last year. In the last quarter of 2020, Grayscale raised $3.3 billion across its cryptocurrency investment vehicles, a record for the digital asset manager. Its popular Grayscale Bitcoin Trust averaged $217 million raised every week in the final 3 months of the year. But then here comes JP Morgan. They've warned that this pace will need to be maintained and even quickened for the Bitcoin price to break back above $40,000. So first of all, we had this conversation last week when we were looking at 34,000, 36,000. Then it went to just touching that 40,000 mark, came down. It's resting around 36 now. JP Morgan is saying that they need to see money, they need to see investment, they need to see more for it to get back to that and sustain it. What do you think about that? Is there potential for us to see Bitcoin, particularly at 40,000 in the next, what could it be, in the next few hours, the next few days, the next few weeks?
So what could make it could also break it.
Yes.
Right. So what's making it right now is the inflow of institutional money. So like you said, Grayscale, people trust Grayscale as a company. So people are willing to invest in Grayscale, and Grayscale is promising them return. So while the market is bullish, people will get their return. To be able to facilitate transactions, so giving them permissions to so they can actually more. Banks are also a high, but of see the interest. A lot of people have been talking about investment, but how to get it. Additionally,
payments. Rush.
We need more money. So
you think it's going to get to 40K?
You know, I believe it will surpass 40K, definitely. All that needs to happen, like I said, make or break. More institutions will come in, but institutions would always take profits because if, like Grayscale or whichever trust, they promise their investors some return, so they must take profit at some point.
Okay.
And if they have 0.3 billion, imagine taking profits from 3.3 billion.
I don't want to imagine. Now that's the point where I'm thinking, why did I not get in on this from the very beginning? Sean Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. He's the CEO and founder of Trade as well, and we've been using him as our cryptocurrency analyst and expert to give us an update and an idea of how crypto is surging the way it is and how, of course, other cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin and Ethereum are also faring. Let's get into 24 to watch as we wrap things up on today's show. Now, Algeria's oil revenues collapsed in 2020. According to her energy ministry, the figures released show the extent of the economic crisis in the North African country, which is heavily dependent on crude oil income. The coronavirus pandemic and its ensuing economic downturn have hit oil prices hard, battering the economies of producer nations. The African Development Bank announces the addition of 2 new countries, Mauritius and Morocco, to its Bloomberg African bond indices. This marks steady progress in the bank's efforts to deepen the continent's local currency bond market. The African Development Bank administers the index, which is a family of African bond indices launched in February 2015 and calculated by the independent global index provider Bloomberg. South Africa's National Treasury is considering raising taxes as one of several possible mechanisms to fund the vaccination drive against COVID-19. At this point, South Africa is due to receive 9 million doses from Johnson & Johnson, 1.5 million shots of the AstraZeneca vaccine, 12 million through COVAX, and 12.25 million from the African Vaccine Acquisition Team. And finally, the volume of green leaf produced by smallholder tea farmers under Kenya's Tea Development Agency management dropped marginally by 0.7% to 615 million kilograms during the last 6 months ending December 2020. This is compared to 619.5 million kilograms recorded during the same period in 2019. Now, during the period under review, the average price per kilo of KTDA teas at the Mombasa tea auction dropped significantly by 14% to $2.18 from $2.54 recorded in the same period of 2019. And that On this edition of Business Edge, don't forget that you can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Head to our website and also download our mobile app on Play Store and Apple App Store. Till next time, I'm Tolulokwe Adileru Balogun.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life got back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every race, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live.
The world has always focused on Africa simply because of our resource base. And Nigeria has always been the major attraction amongst other African countries. So what do we need to do? I think that we need to go back to strengthening our institutions. I think we need to go back to creating proper legal and regulatory framework. So what are the things that an international investor, even a local investor, will expect to see? They will expect to see clarity in terms of regulatory framework. So you look at our oil and gas industry. How do you attract investment into upstream oil and gas when you don't have a legal and a regulatory framework? You know, so international capital is devoid of sentiment. They will essentially go where they can thrive and where they can earn a profitable return on investment within an environment that is friendly. So the government needs to focus on policies to attract this private capital. Then we also, as a government, or government also, has to remove itself from areas where it has no business being in. The oil and gas sector is less than 10% or contributes less than 10% to Nigeria's GDP. But the problem we have is that 70 to 80% of our foreign exchange, particularly the sale of crude oil. This is a commodity whose price we do not control, major contributor, you know. But what we need to do is we need to diversify our export base and our revenue base. You know, we need to sell more than oil to the outside world. I am hopeful because Nigerian history has shown me that every time we get to the precipice, somehow we pull this rabbit out of the hat and we give ourselves a new lease of life. My sense is, you know, we're probably as close to rock bottom as we have ever been. So my sense is that the only direction that we can move now is up.
My name is Nadia Nakai and I'm a rapper that originates from South Africa.
Yo, my name is Deliver Julio. Recently together with the B2C Soldiers, Kampala Boys from Uganda.
Alors je souhaite bonne année.
We are Tara and Bella.
My name is Loco.
Shout out News Central.
À la chaîne News Central.
News Central, Africa first.
Africa first.
Keep watching News Central Africa first. when you're running for office as a woman, this never comes from men, who they married, why they married the person, where the person comes from, the person's religion. None of those things matter. For a woman, it does matter. So let's look at when I ran for office. There was a young woman, Tessie, who ran too, and they said her husband was from Taraba. So why didn't she marry from here? You want to take our funds and give to Taraba people. That never comes up. Nobody even knows the wives of the people who are running, the men. The other young woman, Rabi, our own people, her husband is from the same local government, but a different tribe within the local government. And our own tribe said, oh, they won't support because her husband is not from this tribe, the same local government. And then for those of us who are not married, why aren't you married? It's a great chance that somebody would come and take you away from here. And none of that factors in when men are running. As we grow older, I think people are becoming more aware. Sometimes it may look slow, but people are getting more aware. More than ever, the conversation about Nigeria's existence and renegotiating it is at the table. And so when you reach a landmark age like this, those kind of conversations, they always come out a lot, and we need to renegotiate. I do think that Nigeria is better as smaller federating units with a less powerful center. And more than ever, that conversation keeps coming out. I do hope that the conversation is coming out for the